Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode 327. We are recording and streaming this on, what is this, Monday? I'm thrown off. It's a Monday, April 13th, 2020. I'm David Lott. Joining me for this is Bobby Jackson.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Yasha Wilson.
Hey, everybody.
And Michelle Hillard.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
What's up, guys? We're all here again. Our second straight week of all video streaming here, if you're watching us on YouTube.
It's like a collection.
Yeah,
like I get the four of us.
Yes, it is a collection.
Collected all the things.
Yeah. 1/4 of us looks absolutely stunning tonight. I just want to go ahead and throw that out there as to how wonderful their hair looks and the makeup, everything just bravissimo.
Thank you, Yasha.
He was going to say himself, but
I thought he was too.
Yeah, I thought that was a setup.
I thought he was going to say something. Yeah.
I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, like, this doesn't happen on accident. You know, this is put together. So, you know, I mean,
You gotta make sure.
no setup for myself there. It was simply a testament and, you know, proclamation of how wonderful Michelle looks because I was giving her shit earlier. So I just wanted to throw that out.
Thank you.
Try to clean that up a little bit before the next time I see her with a while, but still don't want to be in trouble because I feel like she has a very long memory.
Yes.
So speaking of seeing you guys, was it this past weekend that WonderCon was supposed to happen? Or is that this coming weekend?
Oh, it is soon.
I
It was
thought
last
it was
weekend.
This past
Was it
weekend?
last weekend?
Yeah, because I was getting tweets as if the show was still trying to kind of mimic the
emails.
feel of it. And they
Yeah.
will tweet about different things. Like, at this point, you've been doing this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, that kind of sucks. I want to be doing that thing. So it was throughout the whole weekend that they were sending those tweets. And I was like, man, that's such a bummer.
Yeah. So I forget, did they postpone it or is it just canceled? I can't remember.
I think the original verbiage was postponement, but I don't think that they're going to be doing it because, you know, WonderCon is supposed to be the rev up or the warm up for Comic-Con, which is not far off as it stands right now. It's 4 months away. So is it 4? Yeah.
Well, it's
No,
gotta be
3
less
months.
than that.
3 months
Yeah, I
now.
was going to say 3
It's in
months.
July. Yeah, 3 months away. And I mean, I'm still holding tight, fingers crossed for
Yeah.
Comic-Con to actually happen. But as the way that things are tracking right now, it probably won't.
Well, what
That's really sad
MegaCon here in Orlando was supposed to be in, I think, late March. And it postponed, not as far off as I expected. I want to say like June.
Oh.
So, and even then, they're already starting to push out. Actually, yeah, no, it was supposed to be this coming weekend in April. It was going to be mid-April. They've begun pushing out basically all the celebrities that have confirmed for the new dates, which are June 4th through the 7th. And part of me is like, that I feel like that's cutting it close.
It's very optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen, but
Still very optimistic.
that's a risky date to put it on. Like late summer or fall is okay, feeling pretty good. I mean, and, you know, when I say it like they could just put it whenever they want. I mean, scheduling at a major convention center and That's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but
I feel like this is like just a logistic nightmare because if you're going to have celebrity appearances and people that work in the industry, their appearances, and then people that just work for the studios, and to find an open weekend with hotel availability and everybody's schedule just basically syncing up. I mean, I feel like after like a WonderCon or a Comic Con, that very next week they start talking about having that, like, okay, next year let's already start having that conversation and figuring out what we're going to be doing and trying to make it better. um, that being the case, it's like I can't imagine it being an easy thing. It's like, okay, so we had it planned this weekend, what can we push it off to that would actually be open for in like 3 months, 3 or 4 months? Doing something like around right now when it comes to like COVID-19 being such a prominent factor in the society right now, Disneyland being closed, I can see that being a little bit easier with the hotel space. But as far as celebrity appearances or anything to that nature, I feel like that'd be a logistic and horrible nightmare because once you have somebody blocked and booked for that weekend, what happens in, later on if they don't have that availability because they're either shooting or maybe they don't want to actually leave their house again?
yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, like you're saying, there's the scheduling of the venue. There's, in the case of a convention, the rescheduling of all your guests, of anybody participating in the convention. That's a nightmare I can't imagine dealing with. So, as
Or
much as it
making
may
sure that the
sound like
convention,
as much as it may sound like I'm giving MegaCon shit for not, pushing it far enough. I mean, they could have been in a position where they had little to choose from. It was either that or they cancel or something. I don't know.
Right. I was going to
yeah.
say the convention center here in Orlando is very busy
Yeah.
usually. And I'm sure that people that already have dates for midsummer to late summer already have the convention center booked and they're holding their dates right now with their fingers crossed. And they're probably not going to want to relinquish them until the absolute last minute for, come June, July, August,
Yeah.
until further advancement. But I'll tell you what, I feel pretty good about Dragon Con.
Dragon Con. I've been crossing my fingers though.
I think it's
I'm
happening.
like, man, that would be.
I think it's
That's
happening.
been the one thing in the early days of this, and I'm like, oh man, Labor Day, that's so far off. We'll be fine. And then as things have progressed, I'm like, will we? I hope.
Are we?
I mean, I still feel
Okay.
pretty confident we'll be fine for Labor Day, but
Yeah. And
never
then what's
know.
other Comic Con in New York? When is that? Is that October?
yeah, September, October.
Yes.
Yeah,
That one's probably feeling pretty comfortable right now with where they're
yeah,
at.
they should be good.
So
Should
yeah.
be good. With that,
So-
I know last week I mentioned that we'll probably talk about at least some news. We haven't really been chatting much news going on, though. I know there's still stuff we've watched that we want to talk about. First things first, I'm kind of curious if anybody here, I know I have, I'm sure, I know you have, Bobby. How many of you guys have experienced Quibi? Quibi is here. The new mobile video platform launched back on April 6th. I can see Yasha's excitement for his 90-day free trial of Quibi.
I didn't even download it for the free trial. Like, honestly, and I was listening to a podcast this morning about the whole Quibi thing and what Disney did right to after Quibi announced how many people downloaded their services. Apparently on Disney, they basically boasted and bragged about how many people downloaded the Disney Plus app after when they started that. And it basically dwarfs what Quibi did. Like, their numbers were 10 million people, whereas 50 million people downloaded the Disney Plus app, which is kind of understandable and to be expected. I honestly, and I had to listen to the podcast and really wrap my head around is like, why is this a thing that we need? Why do we need to watch a television show in 10 minutes? Like, I guess maybe if it's an hour-long program, you might need that type of soundbite to really get it. Or maybe even for the commuters that we have in this world today that, are taking the subways. But even the podcast that I was listening to kind of were like, yeah, why do we need this thing? But apparently it is a thing because so many people downloaded it and it's so far very successful.
Well, I mean, I'll say first from my point of view, I have watched one show on Quibi. I'm not caught up. I've been watching the Most Dangerous Game with, what is it, Liam Hemsworth, and man, I'm blanking on his name right now. Anyway, Christoph Waltz. Thank you. I've been watching that, and I guess to me, Quibi is just, even though I get what you're saying, Yasha, it's just something different. It's something else. It's another way to consume stuff in kind of chapter little forms. Though I would argue that these bite-sized chapters, at least in the show I've been watching, don't really exactly get split in the way like chapters would, I guess, in a book. But still, they're these consumable little bite-sized nuggets of story that, say you're at work and you have a short break and you want to watch one, you can. Yeah, maybe it's a little odd that it's purely only available on phones. Like, you don't have the option of watching it on your TV, except, unless you like AirPlay from your phone to your television, I guess. You have that option. But I think one thing I find odd about the service, at least the way it's marketed, and this is my experience again with the one show I've been watching, the service seems to be marketed like it's truly designed for a phone, and everything I ever watch in ads for it, people are watching it vertically on their phone, which you can do. But when I watch it horizontally, it is definitely shot that way. I mean, there's no doubt that when you watch it vertically, they're giving you some of the top and bottom aspect ratio a little bit that you're not getting in that horizontal view. But you're definitely getting a very wide shot, and when you're watching it horizontally, and it feels very crunched in when I'm trying to watch it vertically, because I just tried it here and there just to see what it looked like. And I wonder how many people are just watching it vertically when for me, at least again, with the one show I've watched, I would go, no, you shouldn't be watching it that way. You should really turn your phone around and watch it horizontally. Bobby, I know you've watched a little bit. What do you think of Quibi so far?
So yeah, I was dead set against Quibi when I first heard it. I was kind of where Yasha was with it, where it just didn't seem necessary. I didn't see what the appeal could be for something that was cut up in that way of 5 to 10 minutes of a show. The idea of it was to watch it on your phone. But I mean, in this setting where content consumed and this being a new thing and a 90-day free trial, it was just sort of, for me at least, a perfect storm of a reason to give it a shot. And the two shows that I watched is called Survive with Sophie Turner and Corey Hawkins. And the premise is that they kind of have to try and survive the elements and get back to society. And I think it's done in such a way that this show lends itself to this format in a good way.
We're losing you, Bobby, a little bit. The signal is not working out so well. You're breaking up. Also, looks like we lost Yasha. We're losing everybody.
Man. Oh, there he is.
There's Yasha. Yeah, you're breaking up a lot, Bobby, and I don't want your point to get missed. But I think you were talking about the Sophie Turner show of the two that you've watched.
Yeah. So that one's pretty good. I'm enjoying that one, and yeah, that one is. I agree. You.
Yeah. No, man, we're losing them. Yeah, it's breaking up a lot.
Let me try and call back in and see what happens, and
okay.
You guys can.
Yeah, we'll move on. Try to jump back in.
All right. Yeah.
But yeah, sorry about that, guys. I
you're
lost
good.
You for a second there.
Right. I was just gonna say again, like I said, the one show I watched on Quibi was our Most Dangerous Game, which is pretty interesting so far. Basically, it is a setup where Liam Hemsworth's character is is terminally ill. He's presented with an option of being able to take care of his family for the rest of their lives by participating in a game where he's hunted by a group of people for 24 hours, basically in a city. And like, I'm not completely caught up because so far anyway, a new episode has been dropping every day. And I don't know if that's going to be the setup for Quibi for here on out, or if they're just doing that during this 90-day free trial. But excuse me, I haven't seen every episode. I think I'm a couple episodes behind now, but I mean, so far I enjoy it. I mean, yeah, I'm not paying for the service, so sure, I'll keep watching it. It remains to be seen when my 90 days ends. Will I keep it? I don't know. I still need to check out some other shows. And I want to, I just haven't. So far, that's the only one I've seen. And Michelle, I know you signed up for the free trial, didn't you, Michelle? But you haven't watched anything yet, or have you?
Yeah, no, I signed up for it on the 6th, so I've got my 90 days, and I haven't watched any of it yet. I've just been watching other stuff and sadly playing a lot of Fortnite and Animal Crossing.
Yeah, you're way ahead of me on Animal Crossing.
Yeah, it's addictive. It's so relaxing.
Let me ask you: is that original content on Quibi, or is that a show that they've reduced down to 10 minutes?
No, I mean, it's originally made for Quibi. Everything on there, I think, is original to Quibi.
Okay, I thought that it was taking shows and then reducing it down to just 7 to 10 minutes.
Oh no, that would be a terrible idea.
That's horrible.
That would be a terrible
Okay.
idea. I would agree with you, but no, that's not the case. No, these are made for this kind of bite-sized format. And there's other stuff on there too. There's some reality stuff. I know there's like a version of Punk'd on there now, and then I forget her name, who has a show where she's like a judge or something.
John Legend's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were just talking about that too.
Christy Teigen.
Anyways.
Oh, it just left me. Christy Teigen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's Bobby.
But I'm still not a fan of the idea. The whole thing is like, I mean, but still, it makes a little bit more sense if it's just a 10-minute show for somebody on a commute, you know. But why can't you watch that on television?
I think the gimmick is just, it's different. And this is another venue where maybe you wouldn't normally watch something, and they're trying to fill that little spot. If they were to just create Quibi as another streaming service that you could get on your television, it'd be a matter of, okay, now we have another service where I can already watch Disney Plus and Netflix and all Hulu, Amazon Prime. Here, at least, they have this unique kind of format where, hey, you know, it's designed for your phone. You've got a little break. Hey, the episodes are anywhere between 4 and 10 minutes, according to them. So, yeah, I kind of get the idea. That's where I'm with it.
Okay.
So, Bobby, how's it going there? It looks like your connection might be a little better, or not.
Oh no, it seems to still be freezing. So.
Oh yeah. Well,
I'm not going to say too much.
All right.
I hate to mess with it, but
just sit there and be pretty.
I was gonna say you look your feed looks better right now.
Yeah.
Okay, well I'll give it a shot and just let me know. I did read today that they are going to be working on making it so that you can watch it from your TV. I guess they're the response, and enough people seem to want it, and so I think they're going to be trying to put something out where you can see it from your TV.
Ah, all right. But it'll still, I guess, have that same format it has now, where it's convenient to watch it on your phone, but you can watch it on your TV if you want. That makes sense. Also this weekend was Trolls World Tour came to streaming, which was supposed to hit theaters.
Was that this weekend?
That was this weekend.
Holy shit. Oh, man.
I will admit that I rented it for my kids. And hey, for our $20 rental, we got 3 showings out of that movie in 2 days.
Nice. Okay.
So that was worth it.
Wow.
So how tired of the movie are you?
I actually sat and watched the entire thing for that first showing. We did a little movie night Friday night, and but yeah, they watched it like 2 more times on Easter, and I was really not paying attention. So it's fine.
I just can't.
It's funny
I just
though.
can't.
Like I came across a couple reviews today, scrolling around the internet, and I guess I get if for the purpose of reviewing a movie like that, fine. I guess you're gonna review a film critically and you're gonna find faults in it. To me, it's a kids movie that's really just not made for me, for anybody my age. And my kids seem to enjoy it. My kids watched it back to back on Sunday, so I think that says something. I will say I think it's better than the first film. Not that I don't think that's saying a lot. The first Trolls was whatever. It's a kids movie again. Did it entertain my kids? Then it gets a thumbs up for me. This is the kind of film this is. It's not, I have to say, a Disney animation, Pixar animation quality film where it reaches out to a broader audience. It's not like that. I mean, that's not to say some adults might not find it entertaining. You might. I don't know. But it's just, it doesn't, I don't know. It just doesn't reach, I think, to a broader audience like some of those Disney films. So for me, hey, did my kids enjoy it? Yes. So it gets a thumbs up for me. You watched it too. Michelle, what'd you think?
Yeah. I watched it with you that Friday night with the kids, and I don't know. I agree. I think it was the first thing I said to you is, hey, I think I actually like this one better than the first one. Which, again, like you said, it's not saying a whole lot when you take that film and compare it against, say, like Onward, a Disney Pixar release that came out recently. I would say I enjoyed Onward better, for sure. But Trolls was entertaining, and it had its cute moments. It's filled with a lot of really catchy songs that everybody knows. And there were definitely some cute little jokes that made me chuckle a few times. But overall, it was just kind of like, yeah, it's fine. It's entertaining, and I think the kids liked it, and that's really kind of the big thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's there, and I will say, like, when it comes to me liking it more than that first one, I think it was just a better put together storyline. Like the idea that they have for this one just seems more. It sounds stupid to say, but it seems more on the level of the idea of Trolls. You know, this whole film is based on a little doll that was really popular in the 70s and 80s. And, you know, it just kind of made more sense, the storyline, than the first one, in my opinion. But, yeah, no, it was cute. That's about it.
I would agree. It was cute. Had music.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cute. It's Trolls. What do you want?
It's Trolls. Like, I wish there was a better way to say it.
But I mean, Bobby, maybe you know numbers better than me. I think I saw today that it made pretty good money for a digital release. I mean, it's not making box office money, but do you know how it did off the top of your head?
Yeah, I think I heard it did between 23, 26 million.
Yeah, something like that.
That's not too bad, like in general, but let alone
said,
online.
They said the first one made the 46 million. So,
and then I think it was comparing for Universal's biggest digital release previously, which is I think Universal Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom. I think it made like 10 times that, or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's fair to compare. This is a release that no one had seen before. This is the only way it's being released versus a film that did get a theatrical run, but still interesting. Yeah. Interesting numbers. Anybody watch anything else they wanted to bring up? Bobby, how about you? You're breaking up too much. You're like,
I know.
Yeah. How about you, Yasha? Yasha, did you watch anything else this weekend?
Honestly, I don't think I watched anything new this weekend. I wish I could say that I did. I watched something. I wanted to watch the bonus episode of The Tiger King that they released on Sunday, but I didn't. I just didn't get around to it. So I'm drawing blanks here. I started up again with Jack Ryan on Amazon. So I'll probably be done with that in about a week. The second season, I'm really late to getting started on that. and so far I really enjoy it. John Krasinski is the man. Definitely enjoy watching him do this role, and I'm just kind of powering through that. Like I think I'm on episode 3, maybe 4, at the beginning of 4, at the most. But I haven't watched anything new. I didn't get a chance to. I'm sorry,
You
guys.
know it. You know it's bad when Yasha can't watch something during a pandemic when we're all Michelle watch more than him.
Oh man.
I think you know what though I would like to say something though. I think the big question is
Oh, I know.
David,
Yes.
Michelle,
Mm.
have we gotten around to watching at the bare minimum one episode? You know what I'm talking about.
I have now watched one episode of Breaking Bad. I watched
Oh my
the
God.
first episode.
Okay.
One
Finally
down.
I said I would do it. I did it.
Okay.
I watched the one episode. I didn't only watch one because I hated it. That's totally not the case. I am definitely interested to keep watching it. But it's just one episode. I mean, what can I say about that? But it was good. I think watching it though, I'll say this: it's still interesting. There's certain years when I think back and you tell me, like if you were to tell me, oh, 2010 just doesn't even sound that long ago. And it was 10 years ago. This show started in 2008. And I think I was surprised how almost dated the show looked. I think because the show, especially considering I've never watched the show, still feels fairly new to me. So when the show started, I was like, oh, wow, this feels older than I expected. That was maybe my one big takeaway from it. Other than that, though, it's very good so far. One episode. That's all I've got. I will certainly keep watching. Michelle, what'd you think?
I was kind of in the same boat. I think we were like 10 minutes into it, and I was like, when was this? 2008? And we had to look it up, and we're like, man, I feel like this should, I guess, because, yeah, like you're saying, like this just ended. It seemed like it should have been more recent. Like it should have felt more like 2015-ish, but man, 2008, it shows its age in the show. And I was like, it still just doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but it was 12 years ago, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would say episode 1, I enjoyed it. I'm curious to see more and to see how the story progresses for the main character. But I can't say like, I love it. This is so engaging. I'm so excited. I just can't wait. I'm kind of like, I'm curious. See how this goes. That's where I'm at. So
Yeah, and if indeed I am going to start binging this show, I think I'm still in a position where there's like I wouldn't even say a handful, a couple shows that I really just want to finish first.
Ugh.
For instance, finally watched a couple more episodes of The Crown this week. And once I
What
complete
We
like
Do in
a
the
couple
Shadows.
other shows, I could see that I'm going to, dive headfirst into Breaking Bad and binge it. Unless I watch like 2 or 3 more episodes and I'm not really taken with it. I kind of doubt that's going to happen. But for now, I watched the one. I'm going to keep watching it while I watch other stuff. And then once I finish those things, I'll probably go all in to get through Breaking Bad. Make sense?
Just be consistent with maybe just one episode a week right now.
Right.
If you can work that into
yeah,
like your
I'll probably do
watching
that.
program and just see where you stand and where you land with that.
Right.
But yeah, to kind of like touch on what you said when it comes to being dated, Michelle, like Shannon and I started watching the other day Rat Race. Do you remember that movie?
oh my
with-
God, that movie is
I love that
old.
movie, which is super funny. Brecklin Meyer, Cuba Gooding Jr., Rowan Atkinson, like the whole, like Whoopi Goldberg, like a huge ensemble cast. And we're like, when did this movie come out again? I was like, oh, it's at least like 15 years old. That movie came out in 2001. It's almost 20 years old now.
Oh my gosh.
Like that's crazy. And it's like, and that is even dated more because you see them with their phones and they're like flip phones, or the mention of a BlackBerry, I think, was even in there. And it's like, how is this a thing? I personally think that the dating feel that you got from Breaking Bad is probably intentional. When it comes to the feel, kind of like how slow it's supposed to be in New Mexico. but that could just be me. But there is some parts where it's dated because it's 12 years ago now.
And I think this show has a style to it that, it dates it. Some shows are timeless, or
Right.
some movies are timeless. This is a show that has a look and a style to it that I think kind of locks it into when it was out.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think
it fits in with the whole, 2008. It was the Great Recession, and it was a time. It was a height of actual methamphetamines being like it was a big thing at that time. Like being broke, and then all the crack houses that literally were just in regular neighborhoods everywhere. It was a big thing back then, and so yeah, it's definitely solidifying its time frame in everything it's doing around it. But what's interesting is like randomly this week, I was just doing stuff around the house and I put on some movies that I know and love like the back of my hand. I was watching Pretty Woman. That's from 1991, and it's dated, but I'll be honest, there's a lot of it. So I was like, this just doesn't feel as dated as I would think it would feel, given when it was. And then I watched, what is it, My Best Friend's Wedding. That was like 97, 98. And that one too, there's definitely moments when it feels very dated. They're using flip phones in that one too. But then there's other stuff that I was like, no, this is pretty on par. But so it's interesting how like movies and TV shows can kind of make their surroundings, the time frame, really be almost a whole other character within it, or they can try to avoid it altogether. That way it kind of keeps a timelessness about it. It's just interesting.
Yeah. I mean, while we're talking about things we've watched, I would be remiss to not mention that I finally gave Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, a second watch. I only saw it the one time in the theater opening night. And I never saw it again in the theater. Even though if you had asked me before that movie came out, I probably would have guaranteed you I would have probably watched it at least 3 times in the theater. It's the last Star Wars film in the Skywalker saga. But I didn't. I finally watched it again this week. The funny thing is as much as I wasn't a fan of that film, I mean, not surprisingly, I still bought a physical copy of the Blu-ray. I have a collection of them, so I might as well continue the collection and put it in there. So I still picked it up, watched the movie this week, and I'm still not a fan. In fact, I would say I enjoyed it even less the second time.
Wow.
And it's another one of those situations. There's been a lot of movies I think I've said this about where you don't like it, but you want badly to like it. And in the movie starting, and I'm like, I'm really being open-minded about this. I'm really giving this movie a chance. I will be happy to watch this movie again and admit I was crazy the first time. My expectations were way through the roof. This is actually a pretty solid film. Watch it again. Yeah, I would be the first to admit that. That's not the case. Frankly, I don't think it's a very good movie. I still feel like it kind of ruins the entire Disney trilogy, episode 7, 8, and 9. Like,
wow.
I still love Force Awakens. Don't get me wrong. I think Force Awakens is a solid film. I don't, say what you will about it being derivative. I get that. I think J.J. Abrams still did an excellent job with that movie. Last Jedi, I don't hate it. I definitely have issues with it, but I think it's fine. I like it. I think it's a much better film than Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker was not good. I was sitting watching it halfway through, kind of debating if I even wanted to finish it. It was also kind of late, but I wasn't like crashing tired. I just kind of was bored with it. I'm just not enjoying what I was seeing. But I finished it, watched it all the way through. I still don't like it. I mean, and I will say this too, like I'm a recent kind of convert to a 4K television. So it's still new to me. Like watching things in 4K at home, it still has that, oh wow, this looks amazing kind of feeling, because I never had a 4K TV before. And I watched it in 4K, and I will say the movie looks fantastic. It looked damn good in 4K on my TV, but it's the movie is not much past that for me. What do you think, Michelle? You this was also your second viewing.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to just be kind of the copycat off of you, but I kind of had the same thought. You started putting it in, and I was like, yeah, let's give this another shot. Like, it's been a few months. I feel I'm kind of at ease with it. Like, maybe I will also enjoy this more. Like, we both were kind of like, let's just see what happens, And yeah, halfway through, I think I looked at you and I was like, I think I hate this more now. I'm like, I dislike this even more. I'm like, I don't want to say hate, but I was like, I just like this more. I was like, because like, I was trying not to even pick things apart, but it's like things would come up and I'd go, oh, that's realistic. Like, and I know I'm watching a sci-fi film, like, but it was just like, doesn't seem plot, like, that's not logical thinking, like, at all. Like, they would do things. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? The outcome's clearly going to be like this. Like, it was kind of so annoying to watch them go through the paces of the story again. And yeah, halfway through, I was like, started getting on Instagram on my phone. I was like, what's happening the movie, that's right. And that's when I think both of us were kind of like, do you want to just, I don't know, should we finish it? Okay. And we finished it, and man, yeah, like, there's just, I wish I could have found a new thing that I could have been like, this is a redeeming value to this movie. This one scene really pulls the story together, and I wish I'd paid attention to it at first. There's just nothing. It just doesn't happen again. And there's just nothing in it that's good. Like, there's nothing new. There's nothing to it that really makes this film worthwhile to me. And it's definitely low man on the totem pole when it comes to the Disney films. Especially in this, the last three of this trilogy of the whole story. I don't know. I just, I'm not happy with it. But I will say, it was visually quite spectacular in 4K. It was really pretty to look at, but otherwise, it's still not good.
Yeah, and I wouldn't use the word hate either, because there's definitely things I like about it. I don't hate everything about it.
Right.
I mean, it's not an atrocious movie.
Right.
It definitely has its moments. There's characters I like in it.
Mm-hmm.
It is Star Wars, but at the same time, my biggest problem with it is the structure of it doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
It feels like it's trying to accomplish too much. I don't want to go down the road of rehashing everything I don't like about it. We've done a review. It's not like my review has really changed. It's just worse for me now. So if you're curious, go back, listen to our review of Rise of Skywalker. But yeah, I've now watched it a second time, and I was not thrilled.
Well, I sadly didn't watch the Wednesday release of Little Fires Everywhere, but we are catching up on finishing up The Crown, finally. And I'd like to knock out the last, I think 2 episodes of What We Do in the Shadows, because season 2 starts up, I think, tomorrow?
I think it might be the 14th, yeah.
Right?
I think so.
And then there's a new show that dropped on HBO last night at 10:30 called Run, and I really want to watch that one. It looks spectacular. I haven't paid any attention to see if there's anything review-wise on it today. I kind of just want to go and see it and watch it and see what I think about it. But that one looks really good. I'm curious and hopeful that one's a good one. And I need to finish up Succession. I still haven't finished the last few episodes of this last season, and I really need to. I don't know why I haven't. It just hasn't. I think Succession's one of those shows that I have to really be in the mood for it. It's a pretty intense show, and it's almost like anxiety draining of, wow, this is a lot. And so I haven't been in the mindset with all the other anxiety that I have going on with everything else in the world to want to watch that level of anxiety in a different way. But I still want to watch it.
And then, of course, I feel like there was other stuff that I saw this week, but maybe not. I think that was it.
There's a lot of Fortnite.
There was some gaming.
It was a
X-Men.
gaming week.
Yeah, yes, I did.
That's right.
I suppose you're referring to the animated 1990s X-Men show. I posted a picture on Instagram of my daughter watching it. I never watched that show as a kid. I say a kid. That I think the main reason, I've talked about this before, I'll say it again. I think the main reason I never watched that show when I was a kid is because it started in, I believe, 92. I was a freshman in high school in 92. And I think I was just at an age where in high school, I wasn't watching stuff like that for whatever stupid reason. And I never caught that show. Not because I didn't want to. I don't know. I just don't even remember it. That's kind of what I mean. But we finished watching something at some point this weekend, and I decided to go into Disney Plus, and I came across that, and I'm like, okay, I hear so much about this. I'll throw it on, and I will say myself, I didn't watch a lot of it. I put on the first episode. My kids watched some. My daughter was more interested in it than my son, which seems to be the case with a lot of animated shows like that. Like, there's stuff like that I expect that maybe my son will be into, and he's really not. But my daughter seems to at least have some interest. So, yes, we watched the first episode of X-Men, the animated series.
I mean, that's a show that I guess I was the prime age group for it when it released, and I thought it was awesome, and I loved it when I was a kid. I've actually rewatched it later as an adult because for a while it was streaming on something, maybe Netflix or Hulu. I forget. So I watched it pretty recently in the last few years, and I still enjoy it. But I mean, I will say it's an animated cartoon series, and definitely it's also a product of its time for sure. Like, it's very 90s. It's like if you were to sit and watch the really old 80s version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's very much of that time frame. You know, you watch Transformers. Transformers is very, early 80s. Like, everything feels exactly the time frame that it is. And the X-Men animated series is that way. So it's like, even watching it the other day, I was like, oh, this is so 90s. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, it's so 90s. This makes my heart happy and warm. And it's like coming back home. And it's one of those, it's an animated show that, it's very colorful and vibrant, and there is some action in it. But the storyline is pretty advanced. It's really not an animated series, I think, for younger kids. I mean, your daughter was interested in it, David, but... did she understand anything that's happening yet? God, no.
No, probably not.
God, no.
No.
It's a pretty intense topic for the most part, going through each segment, and it literally is driving exactly from the comic series that was being released. So it's muted down for kids viewing, but it's storyline wise, it's still very adult topics, and some of the things they say. And obviously they're not like cursing or anything, but it's very adult situational things, and so it's one of those weird, interesting things that I think when it first came out, I was the exact age I needed to be to appreciate it and enjoy it as much as I did. It's one of my favorites.
There was some very dark underlining tones in that comic. That series, like very much like it addresses some very serious topics of discussion when it comes to segregation, ostracizing people, bigotry, all of that, hate. And I'm just gonna say it, that show came out when I was a freshman in high school too, David, and I kind of resent the fact that you didn't watch it because of your age, which may be. Not sure what that was supposed to be a knock at, but I watched it and I thought it was a fun and fantastic show in itself. Yeah. But no, it does. You're absolutely right, Michelle. It is a product of its time, and it does feel very 90s, but it also draws directly from the comic that was being released at that time.
Yep.
And the storylines are very much directly from the comics at that time. Down to Gambit being Creole, the love-hate relationship between him and Rogue and Jean and Cyclops. And I mean, it's just, it addresses it all, and they very much stay true to, as close as possible to the comics, which were very much, I believe, intended for more of the young adults at the time. And this comic television show was after school, Monday through Friday or whatnot, but it still held true to the fashion that is like, this could probably be for more like the 15 and up opposed to like the 11 and 12 or the 13-year-olds.
Yeah,
sorry, I don't.
And it's good. No, it's just it's good, David. Like, I mean, honestly, I think that if you watch it, you'll learn a lot about the Marvel Universe. I mean,
my gosh,
Bobby, if you agree, like, I mean, it really does attack a lot of the topics from the Marvel Universe down to the relationship with Magneto, where Juggernaut really came from, It's just they tried to stay pretty true to the comics. It's a fun television show. I mean, I honestly started rewatching it a little bit a while ago. I think I got through 2 episodes and I was like, I got to watch something else because I should be watching something that I haven't seen opposed to something that I haven't seen in 20 years.
Right.
Right.
What was I going to say? So I'm going to totally switch up our subject because I have this in my head. So today I saw Zachary Levi put a post out saying, hey, in an hour, Entertainment Weekly is going to be doing this poll. And they want to know what fans' favorite episode of Chuck, the TV show, was. And whatever show it is, whatever episode's the fan favorite, the whole cast is going to reunite and do a table read. And I was like, well, this is awesome. Well, and the whole table read is to help the Actors Fund to raise money for the actors who are out of work right now. Not obviously like A and B and even C actors, but actors that are on, little play productions off Broadway and they're pennies and whatnot. But so the fund anyways.
Still waiting tables to try and make ends meet.
Right. These are, little average normal actors who are, they're making under $30,000 a year. So the whole plan is to raise money for it, to be able to donate, to be able to watch this table read that's going to happen. And I guess there's a couple other shows that have already done this or are planning to go do this. And all I could say is, one, I'm excited for the Chuck one, and I still have to figure out, I haven't looked to see which episode it's going to be yet because it's going to be a quick poll. And then 2, David, can you imagine what it would be like if the West Wing did something like this and they sat down and did a table read of one of the most favorite, beloved West Wing episodes ever?
Yes, I can imagine.
We should make this happen. We should seriously just start tweeting and stuff and just start going West Wing needs to do a live table read of the best episode ever. It'll be so awesome. We'll totally start throwing money at the fund. It'll be great. Anyways, that's my opinion. And Bobby, you started watching West Wing. Though. It is. It's a very cool idea, and I hope that more, beloved fandom shows kind of catch on and do kind of something similar. I think to help, all the other actors who are struggling during this time frame. I think it would be really cool. Bobby, I know you started watching West Wing. You're through season 3, right? 3? 2.
Yeah.
What do you think if we all started just tweeting the hell out of it and we're like, West Wing table read, yeah, live table read, West Wing?
It seems like something they would do because of the recent they had last year that you guys were part of. It seems for this year, maybe if they try to do something for that pod, that would be a good an episode, like a table read kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool because think about, and almost any episode has a ridiculous amount of characters. So your screen would have all these little cells of all these people doing this live table read from their homes. Oh, it warms my heart. I'm so excited. I'm excited for the Chuck one, but I really kind of am we need to make this happen for West Wing. I think it would be really cool.
It's going to be a thing.
I love the show Chuck, but I can't. Yeah, I can't think of an episode of Chuck that I just loved because of, I really, really enjoyed the show and I watched it all the time. But I can't think back to just one episode that I really, really enjoyed in the, the time frame that they were on. I was just looking at their website or their IMDb page and I'm just like, God, which one would I really, really enjoy? Maybe even just the pilot because it was so iconic with him first getting the flashing
right.
thing.
The pilot's a really big one. And then there's an episode, and it's basically the episode before the turn of the relationship between Chuck and I can't think of her name, Yvonne Stravinsky's character, and I can't think of her name. It's
Sarah.
Sarah. I think I remember that. There's an episode just before they finally become together as a couple that's really intense because it's her still just trying to push away her feelings and her emotions on the whole thing, and that was a really good one. But I was thinking other episodes, and I can't think of the names, but the ones that'd be really cool is with Chuck's dad with Scott Bakula. That would be cool to get 1 or 2 of those episodes. To get that table read with one of the Scott Bakula episodes, and then another would be with his mom, who now I can't think of her name, because the mom was the actress who is Sarah Connor from Terminator, and I can't think of her name now.
Linda Hamilton.
Thank you. Yes, Linda Hamilton. Like that'd be a cool table read too, because you'd be watching your TV screen, you'd see all these little cells, and you'd be like, "There's Scott Bakula, there's Linda Hamilton." Like those would be cool episodes, just because you get these kind of star guest people. And I guess they're also auctioning off for money. A fan can submit money to, and they're auctioning off the chance to actually be a part of the table read. You'd become a character in the table read that day. I saw that too, and was like, "Oh wow!" But I don't know how many thousands of dollars you'd have to throw at that one.
Yeah, seriously.
But anyways, I hope more shows do something kind of like this, like bigger shows, like maybe like if Community did it, or like The Office. I could see like
Or
the
Scrubs, even like one of the old ones. Yeah,
like
Scrubs would be a
I
good
could see
one.
the cast members from The Office doing it, because those people like love each other. Like they're really a big family. Like that'd be really cool.
Well,
I mean, speaking of that,
oh, go ahead, Bob.
no, I was just going to say, speaking of that, did you see John Krasinski have Steve Carell on his little episode that he does? Some good SGN, is that what it is? Some good news?
Some good
Is that
news.
what
It was from
Yeah.
technically 3 weeks ago, because the third episode dropped today. It's every Monday.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I haven't watched today's
Okay.
episode.
Well, I
I'm
just
gonna watch
watched-
that tonight.
I just watched it and I loved it. And like they're reminiscing, because I started rewatching The Office recently, just in my downtime, and their chemistry and just talking to each other, you can tell that they just adore each other.
Yeah.
Just absolutely. That was very definitely, when you hear that this was something special, that is very much how I feel. It's like that was very something special.
Well, Bobby, I was going to ask, give one last chance to your connection and see if you sound any better. You can have a chance to talk about some of the stuff you watched.
I'll give it a shot. Otherwise, I'll just have to save it for next time and have some more stuff to add on to it. Knowing that you were going back to rewatch the first episode of Breaking Bad, I actually rewatched it too, just because it's been so long.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so it's interesting. I did see the aspects that it felt older than I remember it looking. But I watched it I didn't watch it right away. I think I started watching it once the show was already in its second season. And then I just been hearing so much about it that I end up going back and watching it at that time, but still around that time frame. So to me, I guess it never really seemed dated at that time. But when I did go back and watch that first episode, I noticed that it did seem a little old. But I don't know how much of that is because of the pilot, and maybe subsequent episodes were shot later and then it seems a little bit more. But at that time, it does have the vehicles that were around at that time and some of the way it's shot. But I do remember, as it grows, that the cinematography is a lot more evolved, and it looks more, I guess, in a film kind of way. So I don't know how far into it before it starts getting that way, but at a certain point, within that first episode, you do notice a lot. And one thing I noticed in that pilot episode that I'm pretty sure it wasn't in the AMC version when it was on TV, was there's a scene where the character of Jesse Pinkman is sneaking out of the window, and there's this woman, and she's topless, throwing his clothes out from the window.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't remember that. I don't remember there being nudity in Breaking Bad, and it was full on. So I was like, wow, wonder what else is in there like that, because that definitely wasn't on when I remember watching it. And yeah, it did make me feel like I wanted to watch some more when I watched that, because I had it in my mind as I was watching. I was like, man, this show is so good, and knowing what's coming, it makes me want to watch it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And I typically don't do that, just because, as Josh had mentioned before, watching something that's so old that you've already seen, when there's so much other stuff that you haven't, that it kind of makes me like, all right, I still need to, I still want to finish West Wing. So there's other things that I should still be watching as opposed to something I've already seen. So I just stopped at the one, but I did feel the pull to want to continue. But it's a good show.
I felt the pull, and I haven't even watched it, Bobby. Like I legit thought, like, okay, well, if David and Michelle start this, then maybe I'll watch an episode with them, and I'll start over again as well, and we can all kind of watch it together in a sense. But I mean, it's hard because I know what's coming, you know what's coming, and there's so much show that's going to be happening, and so much that happens to these characters. I might do it, I might not. I don't know. I may jump in here and there, especially if they start talking about certain things, because you know that the development of these characters is unparalleled in any other show that I've ever watched.
Yeah, yeah. One other show or one other movie I watched I wanted to talk about. I don't know. Have you guys heard of this movie called One Cut of the Dead?
One Cut of the Dead. No.
Yeah. Okay, it was this movie that came out, I think, last year or maybe the year before, but it was in such a limited release that I only really heard about it on different podcasts that I watched, but I knew that it was on Shudder. So I signed up for Shudder for the 30 days for free in order to be able to watch it. And it's every about it, they always kind of give you such a brief description of it because to talk any more about it would ruin the way. But the basic premise is this Japanese movie um, that it's okay. Let me see how I describe it. Okay, so there's this movie being made about zombies that attack a crew that's filming a movie about zombies, and that's all I can really say about it. But as far, as far as the premise goes, and it's subtitle obviously because it's filmed in Japan, and
So it's a life
the
imitating art kind of a situation.
kinda, but what was interesting to me, I'm sitting here watching it, and I'm like, I don't understand what the critics saw about it. Like, it didn't seem, in fact, it almost seemed bad to me. I was like, oh, this is not good. And then it became brilliant. And I loved it a lot at one point where when it all kind of clicks. And I was like, man, that's amazing that it's yeah, I won't say much more, but it's awesome. And I really enjoyed watching that. Um, a movie that I watched that is older that I had never watched in the theater, kind of wanted to, heard bad things, and then just moved on from it, is John Carter. Has anyone seen that?
Oh, I saw that movie a long time ago.
You did see
I
it, Michelle?
I never saw it.
I saw
So
it.
it's on Netflix.
Yeah. Ugh. I
It's
saw. I
on
didn't see it in the theater,
Netflix.
but I saw it like
No?
later down the road, like once it released to like to the home release. And I think I wound up watching it with a friend on DVD one time, and yeah, I just remember kind of
So
going, "This is weird."
yeah, so it's interesting because it at the time I remember it had pretty bad reviews from
Yeah.
people, and then throughout the years, I feel like it's either become a cult following thing or people feel like maybe it got a bad rap at the time. I don't know, but to me, I've seen more in recent years about it being underrated than when it first came out, when it was just pretty much being trashed. And so I watched it. I finally watched it, and I I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. I was surprised because I knew nothing about it. I knew that um, essentially it was an old story uh, with Edgar Rice Burroughs' story, and I didn't know the premise other than it's about a guy who lived on Earth who gets transported to Mars and becomes sort of like a warrior for the people there. And it's this allegory kind of story that is similar to things that has been repeated throughout history. I guess maybe this would be one of the first iterations where you have someone who uh, sort of like the whole Avatar thing, where this guy is fighting for people that are not of his people but become his people kind of thing. And it has that sort of aspect to it. And I don't know, it has Taylor Kitsch, and I think this was probably the movie that ruined his career in a way because he never really recovered after doing this. But I found it really good in a way that I thought that they do a good job of exploring this mythology and the history, and it feels very much like a world that's lived in and has a lot of being interesting aspects. It's very filled in that way that um, I thought they did a good job with it, and so I enjoyed it.
Anything else that you watched?
Mm,
No.
Not really. That's about everything.
Well, with that, I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. As always, we'd love to hear back from everyone listening and watching. You can email us at feedback@flickereffect.com with your questions and comments. We are on Instagram and Twitter at flicker_effect and on YouTube at youtube.com/flickereffect. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Yasha Wilson.
And I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening.